In this video, I'm going to share with you a simple process for taking the top ranking websites for any keyword and using NotebookLM to create an article that is better than all of them combined. So let's get started. So the first thing is to choose a keyword. I've gone for Mount Yoshino cherry blossoms. That's a popular area of Japan that a lot of people visit because the cherry blossoms are really nice. It gets about 320 searches a month, but I'm not going to be creating this for Google because it's going to be very hard for me to rank this on Google. So I'll be getting traffic from social media, but I need to have the article first. So you want to enter your keyword into Google, and you could do the same thing on Bing, doesn't really matter, and just go through and open up some of the articles. So we'll open these up in new tabs. We'll get that one. We'll get that one. We don't need Reddit. We will go with that one. Then we'll come down. That's a pretty cool one. So we'll go through and we'll have one more. That will do. So we've got a bunch of these articles. We've got this one. We've got this one, this one, this one, and this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these URLs and feed them into NotebookLM. So I'll go back to the first article, I'll grab the URL, I'll head over to NotebookLM, I'll hit new notebook, and then we will add the source as a website. We'll hit paste, we'll hit insert, and then NotebookLM will bring in that source. Once that's done, we're going to hit plus, and we're going to choose website, and we're going to go ahead and grab the second article. So let's go ahead and grab that, paste, insert. Now I'll just pause the video while I go and add the other three articles in. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. It didn't work for one of the URLs, so I had to grab the text from that article and paste it in there. So the first thing we want to do is kind of get a summary of all of these articles. So I'm going to put something like summarize the main points from these articles, and then we'll hit this and we'll just wait and see if it can generate a general summary based on all of the sources that we've provided. So as we can see, if we kind of come up here, we've got a bunch of good information which summarizes the main points from the provided articles. The next prompt is what are the key takeaways from these articles? So we do exactly the same process. We type it in, we hit enter, and we wait a few seconds for NotebookLM to give us the information. And then if we scroll up here, here are the key takeaways from the articles, combining the most important information about Mount Yoshino and its cherry blossoms. And there are 4 main points. We're going to continue with another one. So we'll come down here, group the key points into sections based on subtopics. So again, we're going to paste that prompt in, and we're going to hit the blue arrow and wait for NotebookLM to do its thing. So again, we're just going to wait for a few seconds. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. If it takes too long, I'll pause the video until it's done. There you go. So we've got this here. Now we're getting a lot of detailed information, which is really interesting for our article. It talks about the cherry blossoms, the 4 areas of the mountains, visiting the area, and visitor tips as well. So we now have one more prompt, and we're going to put that down here. What are the common themes across these articles? So again, we're taking the top ranking content, and of course this might change over time, and we're getting some common themes across all of these different articles. So let's just wait for a few seconds and see what we get. Let's come up here. We've got a bunch of information here. So here are some of the common themes found across the sources about Mount Yoshino and its cherry blossoms. So the significance, and then it breaks it down into historical and cultural importance, popularity as a viewing spot, more from a tourist perspective, activities and atmosphere, visual spectacle, practicalities, planning, logistics, managing crowds. If you've ever been to Japan, cherry blossoms can get really, really crazy because they're so popular, and it can get a little bit overwhelming. So that's something to warn visitors about. So now we've got all of this really cool information, we can start to begin to put it all together. So we put something like this in, create an outline for a blog post based on these key points. And again, we hit enter, and we're going to see what NotebookLM gives us. And once it's ready, we can then take this outline and potentially just copy it into a Google Doc for our own reference, or we can just leave it in here and work from there. So let's come up here. Look at this outline here. How cool is this? Here is a possible outline for a blog post about Mount Yoshino's cherry blossoms based on the key points and common themes we've discussed. So it's given us a title. It's given us an introduction with a hook. Introduce Mount Yoshino as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, briefly mention these things here, and state the purpose of the blog post. And then we get into the rest of this stuff. So how cool is this? So this is a really in-depth article that we can potentially create. So I'm just going to copy this And I'm going to come over here to an empty Google Doc, which I've just created earlier. I've given it the headline or the name of my post, and then I'm just going to paste that in there. So now we've got this information in here. So we can get rid of that. We've got a title, which is going to be our H1 tag. Then we've got our introduction, and then we can go into the main content. Now we can, of course, look at this, and if you want to, you can just go ahead and write this yourself, because you've still got the outline by doing very minimal work of a really full-on blog post. Or we can leverage AI even further. Now for this part, we don't actually have to continue using NotebookLM. If you prefer to use Chat GPT, Gemini, Claude, etc., you can go ahead and use that. But we'll just stay here for the sake of this video. So we're going to have something like write a paragraph about, and then I'm just going to take one of these things. So I'm going to say write a paragraph about, let's see, let's just choose, well, let's go with the first one. And then I'm just going to put this in quotation marks. I'm going to copy exactly what it said, and then I'm going to hit enter and just see what it gives me. And this doesn't have to be your finished piece. You've got to still proofread this. You've got to understand that, you know, it might be factually incorrect. If you've got no idea about this area of Japan and you just write it about it, you've got no way of fact checking this stuff. But if you live in Japan like me, then you can. And also, if you've got a blog, you should know a little bit about the subject matter. But just for now, I'll copy this. I'm going to come back over here, and then I am going to just make a bit of space, and I'll just plonk that in there. So this is, in essence, my introduction. But I want to make this a little bit better. So, because the word tranquility gets overused with AI, at least in travel stuff. And there are certain phrases or expressions that I might not want to use or keep. So how can we make this better? Well, we can do something like this. How can I enhance this section for readability and flow? I'd like it to be in the second person, the active voice, and use simpler language and readability. So let's see if it can recreate this, but follow my prompts. Again, we're going to have to wait and see. Okay, here's an example of how you could apply these suggestions to your paragraph. So let's go and grab that. Let's copy that part there, and let's go over here and let's replace that. So we'll get rid of that, and we'll plonk that in there. Picture yourself on a mountainside covered in soft pink and white cherry blossoms. As you climb Mount Yoshino, you'll discover thousands of these beautiful trees, creating a scene that feels like paradise. Each area of the mountain offers something unique, but they are all connected by the sweet smell of cherry blossoms and the delicate touch of petals falling around you. So this is the start of our article. Now again, I can take this and I can leverage another tool. So this is the Hemingway editor. I do have a Plus plan. There is a free version of it, and I'm going to plonk that in there. And you can see it's still quite hard to read. It's got a grade of 11. We want 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the red and then simplify it. Double check that it makes sense. Okay. Then we can go ahead and we can do this for the yellows as well. And we can also do it for this one up here. Simplify this for me. Okay, we've now gone from grade 11 to grade 8. I'm then just going to hover over everything and make sure that it's not bold. I'm just going to bring it down. And then we've got that little thing there. So now we have a paragraph here that we can potentially use on our blog if we want to as an introduction to our article. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to go back over here, delete that. So now I have my introduction. And then we just go through the same process for each individual section if we want to. You don't have to, and if you want to omit stuff or you want to write stuff yourself or you just want to take something and get Chat GPT to spit it out, you can. And in fact, let's go and do that. So I've come back over here and I'm going to just choose a random section. So we'll just choose this one. Explain the unique characteristic of Mount Yoshino's cherry blossoms, the tiered blooming across 4 distinct areas, Shimo Senbon, Naka Senbon, Kami Senbon, and Oku Senbon, which may sound like double dutch to you, but these are actual places. And I'm going to go over to Chat GPT just to demonstrate this. Again, Gemini, Claude, doesn't matter. And I've already got some stuff in here just to save time. I'm writing the draft of an article for my Japan travel blog about Mount Yoshino cherry blossoms. I need you to create a section for me on this. Plonk that in there. Keys. Go for grade 8 readability, active voice, second person and casual language. Now you can put a ton more information in here, but this is just to show you the basic process. We're then going to hit the arrow and we're going to see what it provides us. So it's giving us this information here. Again, we've got to wait for it to finish. Okay, so one of the coolest things about Mount Yoshino's cherry blossoms is how they bloom in tiers. Okay, now I'm going to ask for more. Please elaborate and expand on the 4 sections. Because it didn't actually mention much about these 4 sections in here. This is what we want to see. Okay, so now we've got these 4 sections. I don't need this last little bit here. So what I'll do is I'll take this, so we'll just copy this, and then we'll head on over to our Google Doc and we'll come to the relevant part, which is this. So again, we'll bring that down, we'll plonk that in there. We'll then come back over to Chat GPT, not NotebookLM. And then we are going just to do this. We'll copy these 4 bits. We don't need the introductory or the summary because we've already got that. We're going to come back over here and then I'll plonk that in there. And then I'll take all of this. So this here, I'll go back over to Hemingway, delete this, paste it in. We can see it's grade 8. Nice. We can still make this better. So I'm going to just click on some of the red stuff and go through that process again, see if I can make it even easier to read. I'd go through and double check the grammar and always fact check it. But once I'm happy, I can take this and then replace this part of my Google Doc with the new Hemingway edited section. And as you go through step by step, you can build out a really in-depth, high quality article that you can then have for your website. You're still going to have to add it to your WordPress site, format it a little bit, add images, links and all of that stuff. But writing this from scratch is going to be very hard. And as I mentioned, this isn't about ranking on Google. This is about having a high quality article that we can then send targeted traffic to from other places. Facebook pages, Pinterest, paid traffic, YouTube channel, wherever you are, TikTok, it doesn't matter what traffic source you use, we've got somewhere to send them on our site and it's good quality information. And if we can include affiliate links or, you know, a link to our newsletter, even better. So I hope you've got value from this video. If you did, please consider subscribing, leave any comments below, and I'll see you in another video soon. Take care.